Myself, Prabhu. I am going to conduct the class on people control system, which is the topic present in the biocontrol system. So, people control systems, the definition, first of all, we can say the people control system is an automatic reflex that regulates the amount of light entering the eye using two iris muscles. Okay, so we are having two iris muscles. Through that, the light which was enters, okay, that which gets regulates. So the sphincter pupillae, that is which constricts the pupil, okay, and the dilator pupillae which dilates it, okay. So the two processes which gets happen, this system is controlled by the autonomic nervous system in response to light levels, and also react to factors like interest, emotion, and cognitive load, okay. So see, this is the definition, and now we can move to the next slide. See, this is the block diagram for the people control system. So commonly a control system that is used to maintain the exact output. So that is said to be the system which controls, okay, the systems which controls any parameters, okay. On behalf of this people control system, this block diagram refers that that is the block diagram which consists of, say, the brain, muscles, and eye, and the third one is the feedback. From the feedback it was connected, that is the light sensing nerves, okay. So the three blocks are mentioned, and from the lighting, that is light sensing nerves, the connection was given to the comparator, okay. The left side that we mentioned in the round, that is said to be the comparator. So the comparator anyhow requires two input. One is the desired light intensity, and the other one is the light intensity on retina, okay. So both these two are compared by means of the comparator. So the error which was produced, okay, produced means when comparing, yeah, if there is any difference, the error will be occurring, and that error value will be given to the brain, okay. So in the brain it makes the comparisons, okay. Actually already compared, but the brain makes the decision, okay, based on the comparison error. The brain makes the decision, and the decision is given to again the muscles in the eye. So now, due to the feedback effect, so a control system means that is the output is balanced, or desired output is produced by means of making the feedback connection, okay. So here the feedback connection is represented, or that is pointed by means of this light sensing nerves. So it makes a closed path. Finally, the signal was given to the muscle in the eye, which produces the required amount of what light intensity. So thus this system which gets controlled, okay. So see here the explanation, the control mechanism. In bright light, the parasympathetic nervous system activates the sphincter pupillae muscle to constrict the pupil, that is for protecting the retina and the lens from excessive light, okay. From the excessive light it will be controlling, okay, and the bright light, during the bright light. So in the dim light, what happens we can see, okay. In dim light, the sympathetic nervous system activates the dilator pupillae, okay. There in the bright light it activates the sphincter pupillae muscle, but in dim light it activates the what, the dilator pupillae muscle to widen the pupil, okay. So because the light which gets dim, so the pupillae which gets wider, okay, to capture the image, okay. So allowing more light to enter and improving vision in low light conditions. So we will, our eye automatically make effort, or it will try to cover the large, that is cover the exact image by making our eye region as larger. We will try. Okay, so that happens due to this control system mechanism. This control system which was based on the what the signal from the brain. Okay, so based on the feedback effect and the control effect, the brain which controls the muscles in the eye. Okay, with the help of the feedback, that is the lighting sensing nerves. Okay, then the next slide. Okay, the pathway of the pupillary light reflex. Okay, PL I mentioned this light detection. Okay, so light strikes the retina, activating photoreceptor cells. Okay, in this light detection, light strikes the retina, activating photoreceptor cells. Okay, right. So now afferent pathway, that is the nerve signal travels from the retina along the optical nerve to the brainstem. Okay, so similarly processing, the brainstem processes the signal and sends commands back through the nervous system. So here first light detection, then creating the afferent pathway, then the processing which happens with the help of the brainstem. Okay, in that the signal which gets that is commands, okay, through the nervous system. Then the fourth one is afferent pathway. First one is the afferent pathway. Now this one is the afferent pathway. So the signals travel via the oculomotor nerve. Okay, that is for constriction, and sympathetic nerves for dilation to the iris muscles. So anyhow, these two processes which gets and happens. Okay, so now finally the response which was produced, the appropriate iris muscle contracts, changing the pupil size in response to the light stimulus. So based on the light stimulus, the pupil size which gets changes, that is the response means output. Okay, so based on this which gets and it changes either contraction or that is expansion. Okay, if more light is there, the eye will be in normal size. If the surrounding light is in diminish, or that is, let us consider as dark, okay, during the night. Okay, at that time our eye which gets the appearance of this eye which gets tried to make larger to cover the image. Okay, so that's about the what this pupil control system. Okay, so similarly these are the examples of the biocontrol systems. Okay, so already we have started this fifth unit, that is the biocontrol system. Okay, so now we can enter into the second topic. Okay, skeletal muscle servo mechanism. Okay, so let's start with the definition. A skeletal muscle servo mechanism is the biological control system. See, the same thing. Okay, it's also the biological control system. Okay, the example that regulates muscle contraction to perform precise movements. Okay, here the muscle contraction. Okay, or the skeletal muscle servo mechanism means that is the muscle which was attached or combined, or that is the muscle which was added or combined to the, that is skeletal regions, that is said to be the skeletal muscle. Okay, so a skeletal muscle servo mechanism is the biological control system that regulates muscle contraction to perform precise movements. That is exact, accurate. Okay, that is precise value of this movement which will be happen by means of this skeletal muscle servo mechanism. That's the third line, acting like a biological servo mechanism that uses feedback to achieve a desired output. So anyhow, the balanced output, or we can call it as desired. Actually desired is the exact. Okay, that means needed output. Okay, so this needed output can be obtained by means of this servo mechanism control in this skeletal muscle based on this biological control system. So next, see, continually, this system involves a neural signal from the brain that travels to the muscle. Okay, this also included with the help of this brain system. Okay, where this it triggers a series of events. Okay, series of events including the release of calcium ions which causes the muscle fibers to contract and shorten. Okay, due to this effect, the muscles which gets contract and shorten. This process is governed by excitation contraction coupling. So anyhow, an excitation is required. Okay, coupling. Similarly, ensuring the correct force and length are achieved for tasks like posture, movement, and breathing. Okay, based on this, see here actually this process is governed by excitation or contraction coupling. Okay, ensuring the correct force and length are achieved for the tasks like posture, movement, and breathing. Okay, let's move to the next slide. See, this is the block diagram of this skeletal muscle servo mechanism. So this block diagram which was represented by these blocks, that is desired muscle length, that is the parameter which we have to set. Okay, and the summator. Okay, once the summator is there, that means the either we can call it as comparator also, because based on this difference only the summator which produces the difference only actually. Desired length is positive and the feedback. Okay, feedback, the sensor muscle spindles is negative signal means anyhow the difference that is if we add means also we'll get the difference value only. Okay, so either we can call it as the summator or we can introduce the comparator also, no problem. Okay, instead of this summator. Okay, so but summator and comparator both are not same, but here in this area it is doing the same process. Okay, so summator here, which one will be acting as the summator means spinal cord circuitry. Okay, that is the nervous system. Okay, nervous system from the brain. Okay, that is the spinal, through the spinal cord the nervous system just transferred. Okay, that is passing by. Okay, so now the third one is the actuator muscle, and finally actuator muscle length. Okay, anyhow we have to control the muscle length. Okay, so the actual muscle length means what it has required. Okay, that means what it has required means what we are expecting. Okay, so that is the desired and actual muscle length must be same. Okay, then only the error will be zero and the desired output will be obtaining. Okay, so actual means that is based on this control effect the actual muscle can be changed. Okay, so now initially due to the what actuator muscle, with the help of the actuator muscle, that is how the actuator muscle works is then what there is some stimulation was given to the what spinal cord circuitry with the help of the brain. Okay, the brain has to decide whether the muscle has to be made movement or not. Okay, we have to walk through or we have to sit or do some action like that. So the brain has to decide. Similarly, so the brain gives the signal to the spinal cord circuitry, and the circuitry which controls the actuator muscle. So based on the actuator muscles, the actual muscle length which gets varies. This variation which was measured with the help of the sensor. Okay, the sensor always which was connected in the feedback path only. So the sensor which senses the change in the muscle length, and it was given to the input as summator. The summator anyhow needs two inputs, summation or comparator. Anyhow it requires two inputs. One is the desired muscle length, the other one is the what as actual muscle length which was measured. Okay, so based on that the difference which was obtained, similar to the same working which was learned in this previous pupillary control system. Okay, so see finally the summator which produces the error, and this error was given to the again actuator muscle. The actuator, based on the error, the actuator muscle which takes the control action. Okay, so finally the control action which controls the actual muscle length. So based on that the muscle which gets contract or expand. Okay, this is the explanation. So now the explanation which was given here. Okay, so the same thing which was explained. That is neural signaling and excitation. Okay, so through the neurons or nerves, the signal which was passed due to the excitation. The excitation which will be coming from where? that is from the brain. Okay, so first one is the motor nerve action potential, and the voluntary command originates in the brain and travels down a motor nerve to the muscle fiber. Similarly, acetylcholine release. Okay, that's at the neuromuscular junction, the nerve ending releases the neurotransmitter acetylcholine. Okay, so this was represented by ACH. Okay, so now that is a depolarization which has happened. See, the ACH binds to receptors on the muscle fibers membrane, that is opening ion channels, okay, and causing a change in voltage that triggers an action potential. So the action potential which gets triggers, so based on that the muscle gets and contracts. Okay, so now the calcium release. Okay, the action potential travels along the sarcomere and into the muscle fiber via tubules. Okay, there is T tubules, which signals the release of calcium ions from the sarcoplasmium reticulum. Okay, so now see the next one is the acid uh, myosin interaction. Okay, so actin muscle interaction, calcium ions bend to the regulatory protein troponin, which causes another protein tropomyosin to move out of the way. Okay, so this unblocks the binding sites on the actin filaments, allowing the myosin heads to attach. Okay, making this one attach. So finally, the sliding filament theory says that the myosin heads pull the actin filaments towards the center of the sarcomere, causing the muscle fiber to shorten. So it gets compressed. Okay, this is the actual servo mechanism in action, where the neural signal input leads to a mechanical response. That's the output. Okay, so now see finally, so the ATP consumption, the process of forming and breaking the cross bridges between actin and myosin, which was happens. Okay, next. This is the about the explanation which was completed for this skeletal muscle servo mechanism. Okay, thank you, students.